from New York, I'm Chris Hayes, here with Jennifer Sevilla Korn of the Hispanic Leadership Network, Luke Burbank of the podcast Too Beautiful to Live, Diedrich Mohammed of the NAACP, and Heidi Moore of The Guardian. This week we got to see the State of the Union from President Barack Obama, touching on a whole range of domestic issues.
Those we lost was a young girl named Hadiya Pendleton. She was 15 years old. She loved fig Newtons and lip gloss.
It was horrific what happened in Newtown. It's horrific when anybody dies. And I think that he's a very good communicator, so he uses that to strike emotion in people. And so he's using that to then go ahead and move an agenda that he'd like. I think that it would be better if we would talk about the things that actually will help prevent things like what happened in Newtown. And unfortunately, you know, we even see Vice President Joe Biden saying that, oh, well, the things that they've been talking about really aren't going to prevent things like that from happening. So it's an emotional issue. He's a good communicator. He can talk about it, but we really should talk about the things that are going to
What do you think those are?
Something. Well, you know, some of the ideas that are floating around. What are we going to do about our system for mental illness? What are we going to do about the people that actually use the guns? Because he talked about the fact that, oh, these guns are killing people. Well, it's the people with guns that are killing people. And we really should explore, what about some kind of security for our children at schools? We secure our money when, you know, money is transferred from banks.
Do you really believe that?
Absolutely. I mean,
said all this week. I don't even know how good a head of the DOD Chuck Hagel would be, because no one seemed to want to litigate that.
I can tell you, my husband's in the Marine Corps, and he watched the hearings, and it was abysmal. Sorry. I mean, you can say, oh, it's the president.
Sure, no, the hearings.
He was horrible, so you expect senators to just jump on board because the president nominated somebody. He was awful.
Right, but then why don't...
And I have to touch the Benghazi thing, though. You know, this whole thing about, oh, gosh, it's been overplayed. No, it hasn't been overplayed. We still don't have a solution. We still haven't got to the bottom of it. We still don't know why we didn't have security in place. But what I'm saying is, you can't diminish that people are concerned about Benghazi as government.
But anytime anyone opposes the president's agenda, he and his allies usually respond by falsely attacking their motives.
He comes from immigrants. He talks about being in middle class, that his father was a bartender, that his mother was a secretary. He rose. He has the American dream story. He talks about things in a way that really bring it to real life.
Do you think that that core message on government's too big, regulations killing jobs, taxes need to be lower, do you think that is politically effective for the Republican Party right now? It's
politically effective, but it's also true. I mean, we go out and go throughout the community, and it is. Small businesses are being strangled right now by the regulation and being overtaxed. And you roll your...
One of the biggest surprises in President Obama's State of the Union address this week was his call for an increase in the federal minimum wage up to $9 an hour from its current level of $7.25.
Yesterday, I was talking to an economist who was telling me, and he's not really Republican or Democrat, he was just telling me that when you raise the minimum wage, then inflation goes up, then you raise the minimum wage, then inflation goes up, then you raise the minimum wage. And I said, well, how does that, how does it affect? And he said, well, let's say someone working at McDonald's, minimum wage, then they pass the price on to the consumer. And so, again, we could probably get, 50 economists on either side telling us why it's good or why it's bad, and Democrats don't want to do the indexing because it's a great political issue for them. And so, everybody was caught by surprise when the president actually brought it up in the State of the Union.
Mitt Romney endorsed that in the campaign.
So, the fact, though, it was tactically probably a good thing for him, because look at what we're talking about. We're only talking about the minimum wage. We're not talking about tax reform. We're not talking about the deficit. We're not talking about the debt.
And my question is, what does a Republican have to say to a low-wage worker? You're making $7.25 an hour. What do you say to that worker, specifically to that worker, about improving their lot?
Well, I think that there's many things we could do. One, small businesses right now, they need to grow. They need to be able to hire more people. When you do force it, and I know that you say that it's going to help you, but there are small businesses that do come out, again, just like the economists who say this is going to hurt me.
Well, I want to thank Jennifer Sevilla Korn of the Hispanic Leadership Network.